We're back for another daily recap. Today is Wednesday, February 26, 2025. So we're looking at Wednesday's activity, but I'm going to go back and show you some things from yesterday, Tuesday, because all I did was just give you a very quick overview and didn't get into the details. I'll show you a few things, including the recording of the live trade. But what did they do today? Well, first of all, this is the daily chart, and I have the trend lines that came into play today. Those were part of the levels from the morning that were sent out. So I did say in the game plan, which we'll look at momentarily, that if there were hourly closes above this whole zone, this was essentially defined as zone, the intersection of these two trend lines, then that would be a good sign for the bulls. And there actually were 3 hourly candles that closed above this zone, but the bulls could not sustain anything and they fell down. At this point, it still looks kind of dicey for the bulls. Anything can happen, of course, so something could change tomorrow. But if we look at an hourly chart, we see something here, this whole area here, that resembles what we had up here. Remember, this was a breakdown candle. They're coming up. Timing's about right. We had a lot of resistance areas in this area to go short at, and then this type of bearish consolidation move would play out to the downside, and you would get a target below the low of what started the breakup candle down here. For this one, they just kept falling. So now that they're below these trend lines, here's a breakdown candle from yesterday, from Tuesday, very first candle. So prices coming up, they get above this whole zone comprised of the trend lines and another level in here. And they closed 3 hourly candles, 1, 2, 3 candles. Things are looking okay. But the timing here that it took them to come up here, there's a little signal here on this hourly chart. It's not too surprising that they put in a little clue that bears might jump in and push price down, and they did. So despite the fact that it looked like the bulls might have the upper hand and be able to push price from here, even getting above the high of this breakdown candle, they couldn't do it. And that's why I say it's kind of dicey for the bulls right now. For a moment, it looked like they were going to make this bearish consolidation kind of null and void, but the bulls lost. If we go up to the weekly chart, we can see that the SPY closed slightly above the 20-period moving average, just pennies. They've been below this week. They're fighting it right now. So could this be a bounce like we've seen before? Or are they going to give this thing up? We're going to start to find some targets farther down. Just want to point out the levels and the game plan commentary for Tuesday. Didn't show it to you yesterday. You can read through this. It was sent out before the opening bell. And more relevant for today, this is Wednesday's levels and game plan sent out before the opening bell. So over here on the 1-minute chart, we have the levels that came into play today. We've zoomed in a little bit, and the 2 trend lines, and this is what they look like. So this whole area was a zone. If you read the game plan, you would have noticed that I said this whole area is a zone, call it like 597 to 598, essentially. So where were the trades if you were playing by the rules? So prices coming up into this whole zone. I'm not going to adjust the levels. You would have gone short at this level, short again at this lower trend line. Average entry price, they came down within 10 cents of giving you a base hit of 4 points. Quickly, within a minute or so, back up to your break-even point. You would have jumped out at a wash. That's a near miss of your profit objective. That's off the table. A few minutes later, they're up at the top trend line, and that gave a base hit when they came back down. So there's 4 points there. They're above it. And this is a little early for a recycle trade to play a long trade before a bounce. This is where I actually traded. So you can see me scale in 4 points here, but this would have worked. Either one, you just want to take one of these trades. So one recycle trade, base hit, you're good. They're coming back down into this zone, these trend lines and this level. You've already traded this one, but if you want to buy here for a long position, they kept going down. You would have averaged in, and you would have had a base hit on this little bounce. So there's 2 more base hits. They're coming down into 594.22. Now I'm going to go ahead and adjust this one with 5 cents to 594.27. So going long here, they were out of the money. They bounced, but they did not give you 4 points. They got up to 594.59. You're within 10 cents. Within a minute or so, they're back down to the entry level. Once again, you don't want to take the chance to see if they're going to bounce again. That's a near miss of your profit objective. You jump out at a wash, maybe get a little bit if you can, maybe give a few points back. The point is you've got a chance to get out cleanly, and sure enough, they fell. That was your clue. So that's a wash. No points there. They're coming back up into this 594.22 would become 594.17. For a short trade, they gave it to you after a few minutes. So if you're keeping track, that is 5 base hits, 4 points each, at a minimum 20 ES points. But if you're looking at the big picture, you would have seen that what they were doing when they got up into this whole area, this was a reversal signal in the big picture. So if you've been going for something longer, you would have had a few clues to go short in this area and ride this thing down to 40, 50 points or so. But that's neither here nor there because we trade these levels using a set of rules that just give us high probability scalp trades, 4 points or more, 4, 5, 6 points or so. But 4 points is just more guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed, but it's more likely you're going to pull 4 points, as you have seen plenty of times. I mean, there were a few trades in here where that's all there was at the bounce. It was 4 points or so. We'll look at a couple of recordings of the live trades. One's from yesterday. This first one's from yesterday, the 25th here. The market opens, and you saw what they did. We looked at this in last night's video. I just didn't go into a lot of detail. They gave you a chance to go short, but they got under this trend line. Right after 9:45, we're going to give it 15 minutes to settle in, see what they were going to do. I was just keeping an eye on this. I didn't take the trade. I wanted to see how much they were going to get underneath it. So that was your chance to go short or just jump on board at this point once they were under it. So at some point, I saw a few clues that they were probably going to go lower, and down here around the 590, 65 or even lower would be a destination. So I jumped on board with a couple contracts, and you'll see that happen shortly over here on the E-mini contract, on the E-mini chart, and changed this profit objective here to just take off one contract. So I got $1,000 there and had a trailing stop. They quickly stopped me out. So really could have just taken the whole thing off, but I'm not complaining. $1,500 or so in just a few minutes, within an hour or so, or within an hour of the opening bell. And then, as you can see, all the levels are dotted. That's my indication that I don't want to do anything with the levels for the rest of the day. I was happy to take that quick trade until about lunchtime. I stopped recording this. And this is today's trade, the 26th, Wednesday the 26th. So I didn't trade at the bottom of this zone here. I wanted to see what they would do with it and if they would get above it, because kind of got a feeling early on that the bulls were probably going to try to do something, at least in the morning before noon, or when the market is pretty active and volume is kind of high or higher than usual. So I left this alone, but when I got above, I bought for a recycle trade a little early. So that's why I said earlier, we were talking about it, we're looking at the 1 minute chart, that it worked. You could have done it either way. It was just kind of right there at the threshold. Here we go. You can see the contracts I have pending to buy when they get down to the zones. Kind of bought toward the top of it. Worked out pretty well. So I'll just let this go so you can see it happen. It happens pretty fast. I'm filled with 2 and then 4, and I take off the 7 and some change points. 7.13, I believe it is, because it was $1,400 on the average price. Anyway, I let that go from this point until, once again, about lunchtime or so, and stop this recording. So I didn't take any more trades. I was happy with what I got in a few minutes. And here's what the tracking logs look like. The first one is a playing by the rules log. There's a lot of notes here, but you can follow along if you're interested in the details in order of how these levels were hit and how they were traded. We just saw it all, or at least I talked through it. So 5 base hits, 20 points, and this is where this puts us, quickly approaching a 50% profit. We're quickly approaching a 50% rate of return so far for 2025. Pretty good. And then Sam's trades, and I just found it a lot easier just to take this one trade, as you saw, and not stress out about any of the other levels. And there's the 1425 before commissions. So that's a wrap for today and for yesterday. Thanks again for watching. Hope you found some value in today's recap. Tomorrow morning, look for a new game plan, new levels. We'll do this all over again, and hopefully round out this week, the next couple of days, with a few more good trades. I'll talk to you again soon. Have a great day.